Hey everyone, welcome back to the show.
Hi, I'm Leo.
And I'm Mia.
Welcome to the English Blend.
Today we are talking about something super important for every English learner.
It's the difference between feeling stuck and feeling free when you speak.
Exactly. Have you ever tried to say something, maybe at work or in a cafe, and your brain just stopped?
That moment where you know the words but they won't come out because you're worried about grammar?
That feeling is the worst, right?
It absolutely is. And that's why today we're tackling how to break free from that grammar prison.
We're calling this episode English for Giving Feedback, but really it's about giving yourself the feedback to just communicate.
We want you to be fluent, not perfect.
So grab your coffee, maybe a notebook, and let's dive into fluency versus accuracy.
Exactly. So grab your coffee and let's get started.
Okay, Leo, let's start with the basics. When we talk about learning English, we hear two big words all the time.
Fluency and accuracy. They sound similar, but they are very different goals.
They are. Think of it like driving a car.
Oh, I like that analogy. Keep going.
Accuracy is following all the traffic rules perfectly, checking mirrors, staying exactly in the lane, using the correct blinker every single time.
So accuracy is the grammar, the correct verb tense, the perfect pronunciation. It's about being correct.
Yes, accuracy is perfection. And it is important. We aren't saying grammar doesn't matter.
But what happens if you focus only on accuracy while driving?
You drive incredibly slowly. You stop constantly to check the rules. You never reach your destination quickly.
And that's where fluency comes in.
Fluency is the ability to communicate smoothly and quickly. It's about getting your message from point A to point B.
It's like driving fast enough to keep up with traffic, even if you sometimes brake a little late or forget to check a mirror perfectly, you still get your point across.
That's a great phrase right there, get your point across. We mean successfully communicating what you intended to say.
Even with some small mistakes, if the listener understands the idea, you got your point across.
So, our main message today is fluency equals communication, not perfection.
Communication is the goal, Mia. If you can order your coffee, tell your boss you finished the report, or ask for directions, you are fluent enough for that moment.
Exactly. Think about how children learn their first language. They are incredibly fluent long before they are accurate. They make tons of mistakes, but they talk constantly.
They are focused on communication, not conjugating verbs perfectly. We need to bring that childlike confidence back.
When learners focus too much on accuracy, they start checking every single word against a mental grammar book.
And that's where the speaking block happens. The internal editor turns on.
The internal editor is like a very strict school teacher living inside your head.
It says, wait, did you use the past perfect continuous tense correctly for this hypothetical situation?
And you panic. You stop speaking. Silence. The conversation moves on without you, and you feel frustrated.
We call that moment when you stop and can't continue. You hit a wall. That's our first useful phrase for today, hit a wall. It means you meet an obstacle or suddenly stop progressing.
You might be speaking well, then suddenly you hit a grammar wall or a vocabulary wall, and the flow stops.
So if you hit a wall, remind yourself, the goal is fluency. The goal is communication. Don't let the fear of a small mistake stop the entire sentence.
Let's look at a practical example. Imagine you are at a new job and a colleague asks you about a project you finished yesterday. A highly accurate but slow answer might be, I have finished the project yesterday. No, wait, I finished the project yesterday at 4 p.m.
That takes time, and the listener is waiting. You sounded accurate, but not fluent.
A fluent, slightly less accurate answer might be, yeah, I finished project yesterday. It was done.
The grammar wasn't perfect. Maybe they missed the, or used a slightly incorrect tense, but the key information, project is finished, was communicated instantly.
That's the power of prioritizing fluency. The listener understands you, and the conversation continues.
And guess what? Most native speakers make small mistakes all the time. We correct ourselves mid-sentence. It's not the end of the world.
That is our third useful phrase, not the end of the world. It means a mistake is minor and should not cause serious worry.
If you use the wrong preposition or confuse his and her, not the end of the world. Keep talking.
The listener is almost always more focused on the idea than the structure.
Think of language as a bridge. Accuracy makes sure the bridge is structurally perfect. Fluency means traffic can actually move across it quickly.
We need a functional bridge, not a beautiful bridge that nobody can use.
Exactly. So how do we train ourselves to relax and stop overthinking grammar? That's the next step.
So we've established that overthinking grammar is the main villain here.
It's the constant self-correction that slows us down. It moves language production from automatic memory to working memory.
That sounds very scientific, Leo. Tell us simply what that means.
Okay, when you speak your native language, you don't think about grammar, right? The words just come out automatically. That's automatic memory.
I just speak. I don't stop and think subject, verb, object, relative clause.
But when we learn a second language, especially when we focus heavily on tests and rules, every sentence becomes a grammar puzzle.
We move it to working memory, which is the part of the brain that solves puzzles. It's slow.
It's like trying to calculate a complicated math equation while talking. Impossible to do quickly.
The solution isn't to stop studying grammar entirely, of course. Grammar provides the structure.
The solution is to move grammar from the puzzle-solving part of the brain back to the automatic habit part.
We need to make the rules instinctive, so we don't have to think about them in the moment.
And that takes massive input and repetition.
It really does. I remember when I was studying Spanish, I focused so much on the difference between ser and estar.
Oh, the two verbs to be. That's a classic grammar point that makes people hit a wall.
I would be talking to someone, and mid-sentence, I'd stop and start mentally reviewing the 10 rules for which one to use.
And the native speaker is just waiting patiently.
Exactly. I'd freeze up. I was afraid to communicate because I knew if I used the wrong one, I'd be wrong. And that felt terrible.
That fear of being wrong is the biggest fluency killer. It makes you prioritize correctness over communication.
And I realized that even if I mixed them up, even if I said estoy when I should have said soy, they always understood me.
Because the context was clear. The listener's brain is designed to understand meaning, not necessarily to grade your paper.
Right. So I forced myself to use our phrase, not the end of the world. I just spoke, used the first one that came to mind, and kept the flow going.
That's a great example of shifting the focus.
And here is a short story, a cultural note, really.
Tell us.
Think about business English, especially in fast-paced international companies.
Lots of people from different countries, different native languages.
Yes. In meetings, you rarely hear perfect textbook English. Everyone is speaking quickly, often using simpler sentences, and sometimes making grammatical errors.
True. The focus is entirely on efficiency. Getting your point across fast is more valuable than having a perfectly structured sentence.
I once had a colleague from Germany and one from Japan, and they were finalizing a huge deal. They were talking about numbers and strategy.
High-stakes conversation.
The German colleague said, "We must move the deadline, no?" And the Japanese colleague replied, "Yes, deadline is much impossible for Friday."
Grammatically, both of those sentences have errors.
Big errors, right? But did they understand each other perfectly?
Yes, absolutely. The intent was clear. They needed to change the deadline, and Friday was not achievable.
They didn't hit a wall because they didn't stop to self-correct. They prioritized the message. The goal was communication, and they succeeded.
That story shows that even at the highest levels of international business, fluency triumphs over strict accuracy. You must be understood.
That realization was a turning point for me in my learning. Once you accept imperfection, you start speaking twice as much.
And speaking twice as much is the fastest way to improve fluency. It's practice.
It is. So let's move on to our practical steps. How do we actually train our brains to prioritize speed over perfection?
We have 3 key practical tips that help you bypass that internal editor. These steps train your brain for automatic response.
Tip number 1, massive listening and reading, massive input.
This sounds obvious, but many learners don't listen enough. You need to flood your brain with correct, natural English.
When you listen a lot to podcasts like this one, to TV shows, to audiobooks, your brain starts absorbing the patterns naturally. You stop seeing grammar rules and start hearing language rhythms. You hear how native speakers put things together, not why.
If you hear, "I went to the store 1,000 times," you stop thinking about the past simple rule. You just say, "I went." It becomes automatic. So, massive input trains your automatic memory. This is how the brain naturally acquires language structure.
You are internalizing the structure so you don't have to manually apply the rules later. Make listening a daily, non-negotiable habit, even if it's just background noise while you do the dishes. That constant exposure is key.
Tip number 2, which builds directly on that. Learn in chunks. This is huge. Stop learning words one by one. Start learning phrases that naturally go together.
What is a chunk exactly?
A chunk is a group of words that native speakers use all the time, like one unit. They are fixed expressions.
For example, instead of learning the word appointment and the word making, you learn the chunk. I need to make an appointment.
Or instead of learning looking and forward and to, you learn the chunk I'm looking forward to.
When you speak using chunks, you don't have to construct the sentence word by word. You pull out a ready-made phrase.
It's like having Lego blocks pre-assembled. You just snap the phrase onto the sentence. It increases your speaking speed instantly.
And it bypasses the grammar check. If you know the chunk, how long does it take? You don't have to worry about question inversion or auxiliary verbs. The chunk already handled the grammar.
This makes it much easier to get your point across. You reduce the chances of freezing up and hitting a wall.
So when you learn a new word, always look up how it is used in a natural phrase. Learn the phrase, not just the single word.
This method helps fluency because you are reproducing language, not creating it from scratch every time.
Okay, tip number 3. And this one is the most challenging but effective. The 3-second rule.
Ooh, the famous 3-second rule. This is pure mental training.
Here's the rule. When someone asks you a question, or when you want to say something, you must start speaking within 3 seconds.
3 seconds, not 4, not 10.
If you wait longer than 3 seconds, what happens?
Your internal editor wakes up. The grammar puzzle-solving part of your brain takes over.
If you start speaking immediately, you force your brain to use the automatic, fluent part. You prioritize speed.
It means you will make mistakes, but that is the point.
Exactly. The practice is in overcoming the paralysis. You must accept that it's not the end of the world if you make a mistake in those first 3 seconds.
Try this. Next time you are in an English conversation and someone says, "How was your weekend?" Just start speaking immediately. Don't plan the answer perfectly.
Say, "Oh, my weekend was good. I go to park and eat pizza."
That sentence is not perfectly accurate. I go should be I went.
But you started instantly, the flow is maintained, and the listener knows you had a good weekend and ate pizza. You succeeded.
The 3-second rule trains confidence and communication speed. Accuracy can be fixed later.
So, to summarize our 3 tips, massive input, learn in chunks, and apply the 3-second rule.
These 3 strategies work together to move your language skills from slow conscious construction to fast automatic production.
Let's circle back to the useful language we introduced and give a few more examples of how to use them in everyday situations.
We introduced 3 key phrases that help with the mental game of fluency.
Number 1, get your point across.
Meaning to communicate successfully, usually despite obstacles or difficulties.
You might say to yourself, my presentation wasn't perfect, but I think I got my point across about the new marketing plan.
Or, even though I forgot the correct word, I used a simpler phrase and I still got my point across. It's a measure of success focused on impact, not grammar.
Number 2, hit a wall.
Meaning to reach an obstacle or a point where you cannot continue easily.
Maybe you are studying for an exam and you feel stuck. You could say, I've been studying this vocabulary list for 2 hours and now I feel like I've hit a wall.
Or in speaking, I was talking so fast and then I realized I forgot the name of the person and I completely hit a wall in my sentence. It's a natural way to describe feeling stuck.
In number 3, the most important for fluency confidence, not the end of the world.
Meaning, the situation is not serious and you should not worry about it. A way to minimize minor mistakes.
If you send an email with a typo to your boss, not the end of the world. Just send a quick correction, or often just ignore it.
If you use she instead of he by accident when telling a story, not the end of the world. Just apologize quickly, correct it, and keep going. The conversation must flow.
Using these phrases helps you manage your expectations. You understand that struggle is part of the process.
And realizing that struggle is normal prevents you from stopping completely.
Now let's go back to our tips and look at some very specific, small actions people can take today. For massive input, how much is massive, Mia?
It needs to be constant. Maybe 1 or 2 hours a day, focused or background. The key is consistency. Find a podcast you genuinely enjoy, not just a lesson.
That makes it easier. If you like cooking, listen to cooking podcasts in English. If you like video games, listen to gaming commentators. Interest drives engagement.
For learning in chunks, how do we find good chunks? When you are listening, stop and write down full phrases that sound natural, even if they seem simple. Don't just write coffee, right? Grab your coffee and let's start.
Write down common conversational reactions like, oh, that's interesting, or you know what I mean, or that's a good point.
These are the social connectors that make your speech sound smooth and fluent. They fill gaps naturally instead of awkward silence.
Those fillers are so important for fluency. When we use you know or right, it gives us a millisecond to think of the next part of the sentence.
It keeps the momentum going so you don't hit a wall.
And for the 3-second rule, Leo, should learners practice this alone?
Absolutely. Practice self-talk. Ask yourself questions about your day and force yourself to answer out loud immediately.
What did I eat for lunch? 3 seconds. I ate chicken sandwich for lunch. Don't wait for perfection.
And practice in low-stakes environments. Try the 3-second rule when ordering food. Even if you say, I want burger, instead of, I would like a burger.
That's a fluent success. You got your point across and you got your food.
The cashier is not going to correct your grammar. They are focused on the transaction.
And if they don't understand, it's not the end of the world. You can try again using a different chunk.
The goal is to make communication instinctive.
We need to override that perfectionist voice that holds us back. Fluency grows out of confidence and sheer repetition.
If you find yourself consistently stopping at the same grammar point, then you can go back and study that rule specifically.
Accuracy is the polish, but fluency is the foundation. Build the foundation first.
Think of language acquisition like learning to play the guitar.
Oh, another great analogy.
When you first learn chords, accuracy, you play slowly, stopping constantly to check finger placement.
It sounds choppy and painful.
But after playing the same song 100 times, massive input in chunks, your fingers move automatically. That's fluency. You might hit a wrong note occasionally, not the end of the world, but the music flows.
We want your English to flow like music, not sound like a broken record player.
Remember, if you make a mistake, it simply means you are speaking. And speaking, it means you are learning.
Never let the fear of a small mistake prevent you from successfully getting your point across.
Because if you stay silent, you will definitely hit a wall in your progress.
Exactly. The action is in the doing.
So today, try to have a short conversation with an English speaker or even with yourself, and promise yourself to use the 3-second rule.
Don't think, just speak.
And measure your success by whether or not you were understood.
That is the true measure of fluency.
We really hope these tips help you relax and feel more confident when you communicate.
We really hope these tips help you relax and feel more confident when you communicate.
That was a really important talk today, Leo. We covered a lot of ground.
We did. Remember, our key concept is that fluency is communication, not perfection.
We learned 3 powerful practical tips: massive listening, learning in chunks, and practicing the 3-second rule.
And we gave you 3 key phrases to manage your mindset. Get your point across, focus on success, hit a wall, identify when you freeze, and not the end of the world. Accept mistakes.
Start using those phrases immediately. Use them in your self-talk.
Don't wait until you have perfect grammar to speak.
Start speaking now.
Daily practice, even small wins, will increase your fluency over time.
Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep speaking.
We love hearing about your fluency journeys. Let us know if the 3-second rule works for you.
And join us next time. We'll be talking about another highly requested topic: English for negotiating prices.
It's all about getting a good deal. You won't want to miss that one.
Thank you so much for joining us on the English Blend.
We'll see you soon.
Yes, see you in the next episode of The English Blend.